All is love is all love is all is love is all.
Hello and welcome to Pray Love, hosted by Deb Maybury and Dave Rogers. We join you here every Tuesday evening, unless Deb is on vacation, Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. And always, Dave, how you doing?
Very well, Deb. Hope you're feeling well rested and happy to be back.
I'm very happy to be back. I don't know how rested I am. I slugged it out in a kayak for 3-4 days, I guess it was, outing, and then went to Jan Hill's farm and was digging fence posts and doing heavy labor. So mentally rested, physically tired. How have you been?
Wonderful, thanks. It's been at a great new moon, and we're moving into the full moon at the end of this week. So pretty excited about things and some of the wonderful projects and initiatives that have been explored the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, there's been some pretty amazing moons. I've been watching them each evening. So we're going to get right into it tonight because we have an amazing guest joining us and a couple of volunteers that are appearing as well. And we'll do the land blessing.
We'd like to begin by acknowledging that the land on which we gather is the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee and Anishinaabe. This territory is covered by the Upper Canada Treaties, is within the lands protected by the Dish with One Spoon, One Point Agreement. Mother Earth, Father Universe, all of our enlightened beings, ancestors, and guides, please join us tonight for insightful, engaging, and eclectic experiment and exploration. Thank you so much. Namaste, and let's have a wonderful evening, Deb.
Thanks, Dave. Okay, well, we're going to get right into it tonight because I know the evening is going to go by so quickly. I'm going to add our guest to the stream here. So, hi there, Chris. Welcome.
Hi.
I'll do a formal introduction. As far back as our guest can remember, he wanted to help people and make a real difference in the lives of others. As a child, he wanted to be a doctor. However, as an adult, with a few twists in fate, his journey and trajectory changed, and he quickly realized that he had the opportunity to provide a real gift to people, to clients that he served. He has a unique way of connecting with people through a very humorous kind of stream as well. I've had a session with him, and it was just incredible. He's been a spiritual medium for almost 25 years now, which is quite a feat, and we'll get into that. He's brought healing and I suspect closure to a lot of people through the gifts that he shares. So Dave and I are pleased to welcome to Pray Love, spiritual medium, author, TV personality, Chris Stillar. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, and the crowd roars.
Welcome, Chris. Great to see you.
Thanks, Deb. Nice to be here.
Thank you. Chris, just as we introduce you, maybe just a little bit on the background, because you weren't born into this. This wasn't something that you were doing when you were 4 years old. You had you have a remarkable story, and it was sort of I think a shock to you what actually transpired. Can you share a little bit about that story?
Sure. I mean, it started very quick for me, but it was a process that took a couple years, I think, to unfold. Back when I was 27 years old, I had a health scare that hospitalized me one day. I had to leave work, and I was missing bits and pieces of time. I had forgotten the names of people that I had worked with for a couple years, and something was going on with my mind. So when I went to the hospital, they very quickly could tell that I was under distress and something was happening with me. And within a very short time, I had lost all contact of knowing my wife or that I had children. My parents showed up and I didn't know them. They did a battery of tests. They sent me to another hospital for more tests, and there was nothing that they could conclude what I had. But I got very aggressive with the doctors and the nurses, and they had to sedate me heavily that day several times. And then in the middle of the night, I woke up in the hospital, and I kind of say I was back. I knew the year, I knew who I was, I knew my family. So something had happened or took place in the brain, and then I was back. And then started a bit of a journey for a couple of years where I was restless and unhappy in life, and I changed careers a couple times, and then upon the death of my grandmother in 1996, it was August 16th, so next month will be 25 years. It was about a week or two after that my life changed when, spirit entered my life, and I wasn't quite sure what it was. I wasn't looking for it. I didn't go looking for it. I didn't believe necessarily, but it was a journey, and it was very comforting and comfortable when it happened, even though I was out in left field about what it was.
Right. Chris, can I get you to move a little bit closer to your microphone? Just want to bring up your volume a little bit. Thank you. It's quite a story. And what was it like the first time that you had this connection with spirit?
Well, I didn't believe it, but I knew something was happening. I was in my store. I had a business at the time, and I was in the office, and I just did a quick little meditation, which I'd never done before. And very quickly during the process, there was an energy standing behind me that I started to get dribs and drabs of information from. He was a native gentleman, and I didn't believe it. I thought I was crazy. But over the course of weeks, I would keep meditating, and I would get more and more information. And it kind of set me on my path, my journey. I was still grieving at the time too for my grandmother, so it just kind of opened the door. I didn't see her. I don't get family. It wasn't like I did this to make a connection with her. I just knew there had to be more to life after losing her. So that kind of opened the door for me. But I always say, I think in 94, I think what happened in my head, because I left out one part where there was like an explosion in the back of my head the night I got out of the hospital and was at home the first night, and I dropped to the bathroom floor. I honestly think something unlocked in there in 94, but I wasn't able to access it till the death of my grandmother in 96.
Mm-hmm. With that explosion in your head, did you go back to the hospital? Did they say that was, like, a pineal gland or an area of your brain?
They didn't know what it was. There was nothing that showed up, and it was probably about a week after that I ended up going down to a specialist in the city as a follow-up, and he just said, this kind of thing happens sometimes, and the best we can tell you is it'll probably never happen again, but it could. But they didn't know what it was.
Who was the gentleman that was standing behind you, the native presence? Is that still present for you?
Yeah, he's my original guide that I was aware of, Gray Owl.
Gray Owl.
Still with me, 25 years later.
Does
he must have a boring life being with me.
Yeah, really. He's enjoying the cottage life these days, that's for sure.
He wants the pick girl, yeah.
Does he speak to you? Does spirits speak to you? I'll just ask this one more question. I'll pass off to Dave. Does spirit come through you auditory? Is that a sense? How is that conveyed? Symbols?
So it's a bunch of ways. It's audible sometimes. I don't sit and talk to my guides. I'm just maybe I should, but I just don't. When I'm working and I have a client coming in, or I'm sitting in front of somebody or in an audience, I turn it on, or I open up in some way. If I'm not doing it, I'm not tapping into spirit. I probably should. There's sometimes when crisis might hit in the family or something, I don't go to my guides and ask if they're going to be okay. I kind of just open up to God and I just give thanks, and I got to trust that the highest and best is going to happen. And that is such a kicker when it's somebody you love and you don't know if they're going to make it through the night or not. But I don't talk to my guides per se as far as answers and questions. I did earlier on, but not 25 years in.
Thank you. Dave?
Yes. Well, first of all, thank you for sharing. It's a wonderful opportunity to have some time with you today. I guess in the last decade, I have a feeling that many of us have been exposed to, whether it's television or Abraham Hicks. So there's a receptance and perhaps even a curiosity and a joy to meet people who are connected and who are able to communicate with the guides, God. What has changed for you over the last 25 years as somebody who awoke to this energy and then started communicating? And today, what would you, if we had that session where Grandma 25 years ago, Chris, and today's Chris, in what ways have you evolved?
Oh, great question. I think trust in life, just trust in me, trust in purpose and life, and not near as much fear or worry. You know, when I was a young person, I would worry about my kids like crazy, or and there's still times, and you go through it, but for the most part, there's just a sense of serene and trust. But I honestly don't think it's changed me a lot, because I just think in my everyday life, I'm so boring and normal. I don't walk around with a sandwich board on so I can hear the deceased or that spirit talks to me. I avoid it in my off time, because I live a normal life. So I think it's brought me reassurance. It's brought me a friendship with God. I'm not all churchy. I'm not the religious type. You know, much to my grandmother who passed, her dismay, she would love for me to be in church all the time. She was a very strong Christian. It didn't float my boat. But for the people that it does, I'm happy for, and you find it where you get it. But for me, I just always felt a personal connection to God. But I think it's strengthened it in a way that I would call it a friendship, where I don't worry about pissing him off or judgment on his part on me. He'll take me. He doesn't require anything from me, just acceptance. So I just like to extend gratitude and thanks to him. That's my one and only prayer. So I don't know if I answered your question, Dave, but surely it's changed me. But I think in some ways I've worked really hard to stay grounded and normal, and sometimes too much. And if God love her, if my wife was in here, she'd tell you I haven't changed enough. So
that's great. Sorry, Dave, did you have another question?
Go ahead, Deb.
I was just going to ask you, when somebody comes, first of all, what's your typical client like? If there is a typical client, what are they looking for? And what's the process of connection for you?
Well, a typical client is just somebody that on average would be in need to some degree, or not everybody is grieving when they come. Many are. There's scenarios where every person's different, but I think a lot of times people are looking for validation, and what they're looking for can vary as far as what the topic is for validation. But people get on my client wait list to get in to see me, and then like I had a woman that arrived last week. I just opened the office up again after the restrictions, and a woman was supposed to have gotten in with me the second week of April, but we had to cancel it because of the close down. So when she made that appointment, she had one reason on her mind for doing it. And last week when she came, who she heard from was her son, who died 3 weeks ago. So when she made the booking and got in April, it was for a different purpose. But when she arrived in July, it was because ultimately her son had passed 3 weeks before from heart problems.
Wow. My goodness.
So in that case, she's grieving and she's needing it. Other times people are inquiring. They're just curious. Everybody has a different reason. I kind of just try to lift myself up to a way of saying, let me meet the need. I just don't know what the need is for each person. And sometimes I can't meet it.
Right. The last part of that question was, what's the process for tuning in, or how do spirit show up?
For me, I do the same meditation. I'm such a routine person. It's advanced a little bit over the years, but not much. I'm not too flexible that way. But I have always meditated, and I would say I don't necessarily need to meditate, because there's times where I've opened up or spirit has got through to me and I have not meditated because the need was so great, or they knew what was coming an hour later and I ran into somebody and I had to, give a message. But for me, I always meditated, and I still do. And I did just before this process. And I do it out of a purpose of grounding, but for opening up. And I always looked at it as respect. It's like meeting them halfway, not expecting them to just deliver to me. I always feel like I have to raise my vibration. I have to open up. And sometimes it really helps me, because there's pissy, shitty things that happen in life. And sometimes when I go into the office, the last thing I want to do is feel all spiritual and connected. I just want to be miserable because I just had an issue in my family that, has irritated me. And it happened last week. But I really had to focus, and the meditation helps because it gets me out of me. It's not about me. And it brings me up to a better place. So I do it out of respect. I do it because it helps me open up.
Thank you. Yeah, interesting.
I got a quick question about some of our listeners or viewers today. They might be curious on what they can do to perhaps tap into their clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentient abilities. I think you've shared it, sort of what your ritual sounds like. If they just listen to you and check off the boxes, it's going to work for them. Yet, would you be able to share 3 or 4 things that people could do to tap in a little bit more effectively?
I don't know if it'll be 3 or 4. Number one, screaming out, would be trust. Trust yourself. You got to trust. And not every time is it going to work, but you just have to, you have to be in a place of balance to some degree so you can receive. And you have to be open. You have to believe to receive. It doesn't mean you know what you're believing in. You just need to believe or know there's something more, and to be open to whatever it is. But we can be very harsh on ourselves. We can be very judgmental on ourselves, and we can think we're kidding ourselves. But spirit's all around us. That's the one thing that comes out in the sessions time and time again. If there's a core aspect besides just that life goes on, it's their way that they can let people know that they're in their lives at any given time, and they'll bring up certain specifics or recent specific activities the person has just done to validate that I'm there with you. So be open, but trust is the number one thing. And you don't have to know what you're doing, and you don't have to meditate for an hour. I would never have done it. It was like exercise when I used to be heavy. I would never have exercised. I had to ease into it, and it's a process. And now every day when my wife and I start exercising at 5:15 in the morning, I can't say I like it. I just know I have to do it. And so meditate in the way that works for you, but it's about being comfortable and just be open. That's the biggest thing. Open and trust. Reading and meditation is great, but listening to a song will open you up to spirit. Watching a scene in a movie. There could be a TikTok video of a military reunion guy coming home after 2 years that could open you up to spirit. There's just anything that will grab you by the soul can open you up. So everybody's going to have a different And I couldn't say, do this, do that. I can only say this has worked for me for 25 years.
I think you've explained it. In fact, one of our listeners just wrote, I feel the way everything this gentleman says. Thank you, Laurie. No, that's beautiful feedback. That gives me goosebumps. And that is your calmness, your serenity, your knowingness, I believe, is allowing our listeners today to feel a depth of trust, a depth of truth. And that's it's a beautiful message. And thank you very much for sharing that.
Well, thanks for saying that, Dave.
Chris, so, I mean, there are many people that are skeptics, and so be it. You know, there are many skeptics as believers, probably. Have you ever had somebody maybe pay for somebody else to have a session, somebody who didn't really want to be there? Have you ever had that kind of experience? Have any stories along those lines?
Well, I don't like when people surprise people at my door. I want people knowing what they're getting in store for. It's not fair to me, and it's not fair to them. But I've had scenarios where one person will be the contact name and phone number. They come for the reading, but they bring somebody else with them that is not related to them, but has the need for the reading. And the reading will then take over, usually for the person with the greater need, or, you know, that whether it's healing or whatever. So there's a lot of times, but, you know, God loves skeptics. I don't care. I'm skeptical. I still am on things. There's times where I second guess myself. So be skeptical, but don't be cynical. And if you sit in front of me and you have a wall around me, I don't take kind to that. You know, you're wasting your time and my time. And it's like, you called me, I didn't track you down. So there's something you're hoping I can help you with. Just knock off the wall, drop the wall, and be open. And then if you leave and you still think I'm full of shit, okay, I'm okay. But be open to it and just hear it out. But my goal has never been to change somebody that's skeptical, because if I try, it usually fails. It'll shut down on me, or I look like I've got egg on my face. So it's like, you have to come at it from the right point of view. But I'm also not everybody's cup of tea, and it's not my job to change everybody. So what do I care? I'll impact the people I can, and I've done that for 25 years, and I'm blessed. If it ended today, I'm blessed for the people's lives that I've impacted and changed. And that fills me full. But, you know, sometimes people don't want to believe, or they can't allow themselves to believe because of fear.
Right. And I want to don't want to forget here, I have your book sitting beside me here, which I read over a year ago, Pennies from Heaven. So if anybody's interested, you can see that sitting somewhere beautiful. Sedona. Yeah, I read this.
Oh, Canadian media. Gotta ask, Sedona. What did you get a message, or did Crayo's friends all join him and hit you up with some ceremonies there?
Dave, I am going to be your biggest disappointment when you ask that question.
It sounds like you and I might have had the same experience.
I don't have experiences when I travel. I'm on vacation. Right. I'm shut down. I truly, truly am. So when we went to Sedona, it was for the beauty. It was with another couple. We just had the greatest time there. But I've gone to Europe. I've been to the pyramids. I've just been to a lot of cultural places and historical places you think I would pick up stuff on, like the Colosseum in Italy. I don't, because I'm not trying. I mean, what are they going to tell me? They need to have a purpose. So I can go into a place and feel really good. Now, when we went into Germany and we went to a concentration camp, just my wife and I, the other two couples with us chose not to do it. But I said to Kim, we need to do this. I want to do this. And she agreed. And we went in, and she was wondering how it would be on me, because being a medium, you are used to energy and you perceive it. We walked through the gates and it felt light. It felt lighter. It wasn't heavy. And even as we did the tour and we walked through the burnt out barracks and we went into where the ovens were, and they explained how people went in and were stripped naked and they thought they were being examined by a doctor. And the next thing they know, a little sliding door would open up and a gun would shoot them in the back of the head and they were gone. you would think, how heavy is that? But the whole thing about it felt light because of the awareness and the education and the teachings, and that people will hopefully grow from this so we never repeat it. So there wasn't any situation where it was heavy or a spirit came and talked to me. It just felt very light and freedom because of the knowledge and the wisdom.
The irony of what you just said is in Hiroshima, there's a very similar experience. There's a peace park now. And many people think it's going to be like really heavy going to Hiroshima. Yet there's this light, there's this actual, this vibration that so much love, so much peace, so much humanity has been shared in that space. It's vibrationally charged in an uplifting way.
It's incredible. You know, people often wondered what it's like for me if I'm at a funeral or I walk into a cemetery. It's really no different than anybody else because there's nobody in the cemetery. They come in with their loved ones. You know, they're not hanging out there. So,
oh, that's so true. Well, on that note, what I'm going to do is we have a couple of volunteers that have been waiting ever so patiently behind the screen in the studio. So I'm going to bring them forward. And then, Chris, we're just going to turn it over to you to proceed however you'd like. Both of these people are coming with hopes and no expectations. Hopes and no expectations. So we'll see what happens. This is this is Lori and this is Deb.
Hi, Lori. Hi, Deb.
Welcome to Pray Love. Thanks to both of you. And Chris, I'm just going to pass it off to you to see what happens, I guess.
Okay, and if I drop the ball or the ball doesn't get picked up, you bring it back in real quick. Can I just say that, and I don't know who I'm with or if I'm with anybody, but when I meditated earlier before coming online for this, I had a mom or a mother figure that was coming through, an older female, but she felt like mom or a mother figure. The only reference that I had at the time was she made reference to, like, I'm going to say a rose, but I think it was a flower laid with her or put in with her. But then she started laughing and joking, and she made me feel like, but we forgot the earrings. We forgot the earrings for some reason. So I'm just wondering, do either one of you understand an older female where there might have been a story after the fact, like we forgot to put her earrings in with her? No? Okay, for some reason that woman was coming through, and she had a great sense of humor. And it's still what I'm getting. There's an MR or an MAR sounding name that would be tied to this woman or linked to this woman in some way. I don't know if I'm hearing Martha, but it's got that sound to it.
Well, I've got a grandmother that was a Martha.
I have a grandmother with a Mary.
I'm hearing what sounds like Martha, in all honesty. Hey, Deb, did she come through in your reading years ago?
No, she did not.
Okay, so I just wanted to establish, like, it's not something I would have said before. I honestly don't know who I'm with, but I'm hearing what sounds like Martha being referenced.
Is there anybody listening? Is there anybody listening to this on here that has a Martha?
There's the key to me was that there was a mix-up, or somebody forgot something to do with the jewelry or the earrings in some way that were supposed to go with her and didn't. And there was like a single rose laid on her chest, apparently, that she was indicating. Whatever the jewelry mix-up was, she's laughing about or finds humor with nonetheless. Makes no sense to you then, Deb, with the Martha connection?
I was too young to know what happened at my grandmother's funeral. Her name is definitely Martha. I don't know anything about Rose. I had a Rose where there was a rose with another grandmother, but I don't know. I'm not connecting with the jewelry. My mother had crazy costume jewelry, but again, it's not truly resonating.
For some reason, that came through. I'm just wondering, also a connection. Lori, I'm not sure if I'm with you or not. Do you know why I would have a male and talk about an impact or trauma issue coming through? He does not feel elderly or old by any means.
Yep, there's a couple of them for me.
There's a couple. Let me
Yep.
try to define it. I don't know if I'm going to do this any justice. Would there be something that would be bike or motorbike related?
Yes.
Because it's not like, I don't feel like I'm in a car. So sometimes there's not a big distinction, but this male seems to be more like I'm on a bike, or I'm like I've got air and flowing around me, but I feel like I have to talk about the impact or trauma. Do you understand? I mean,
yeah, I do.
Like you do. So don't talk about it, but would it surprise you this person might be trying to come through for you?
Not at all. I was hoping it would.
Really?
Yeah, I've been waiting for that, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
You got a sick ass tattoo? That doesn't describe it.
That's totally him.
You got a sick ass tattoo, though.
Yeah.
I'm not telling you it's a memorial because I don't know, but he's wanting me to talk about a sick ass tattoo. Now this may not make sense, but you just lifted your arms.
Yeah, I have a couple of tattoos, but I do have.
Yeah, I didn't see. You don't have anything on this part of your arm, do you? Can you see where I'm?
No,
so
I don't.
At the back. Okay. For some reason, I felt like I'm kind of up top or somewhere, and I felt like there's a sick ass. Oh, it's up there.
Yeah, it's like a.
That was covered though, right?
No.
No, you had it covered with your.
Oh, yes, I did. Yes, sorry. Yes.
I'm just trying to say, like, I couldn't see it.
Yes.
And your picture's so small on my laptop, I would have seen it anyways.
Right.
But nonetheless,
show it again. Show it again.
I feel like I'm supposed to talk about the sick ass tattoo. That's cool.
Yeah, it's a peacock feather.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does he have anything else to say to me? Is there anything?
Well, I was just going to say he's laughing, but I was going to say for some reason, I want to say you can't touch this face. You can't touch this face. So I don't know if there's something about after the accident. He makes me feel like either his face was unscathed in some way, but there's something where he's like laughing about you can't hurt this face or you can't touch this face, he says.
Yeah, I think this is who I wanted it to be.
Well, but just hold on here. This is a heck of a thing for him to bring up or for me to make reference to. You know, like marijuana is legal now. But why would I be shown a bag of dope or there's like marijuana? And he makes me feel like you found this.
Huh.
But it doesn't feel like it's the legal kind. Or did you just recently find like an old bag of dope?
No.
Okay. There's something he's bringing up, and it feels like more recent or more timely of like somebody coming across and finding this. And I don't feel like it was, I'm going to act like it's you, but you've already said no. But I feel like in some way it wasn't yours, but you came across it or you found it. So it's almost like you're cleaning something or you're going through something when you found this. I know you're saying it's not you, and I believe you, but for some reason he's laughing about this. I think it was there for a while for some reason. And I almost feel like he just made reference to the fact that a person who kind of doesn't take responsibility for his death or his passing, but there's a situation where they wish they'd kept him someplace longer or held him back before he left in regards to how the accident occurred or the timing of the accident in some way with the bike. I'm sorry. He just said he's sorry as well. He wasn't drinking, was he?
I don't believe so. No, he was in the best health of his time of his life.
Okay, for
Within the
some
back
reason,
tape.
I just said sorry, and I felt like there's something alcohol related or something that was being acknowledged. Where's Bill or the Billy, Bill? Why would I hear that name being referenced?
I'm not sure.
Okay. I don't think I'm crossing over in any way, but for some reason I feel like I need to talk about a male and the cardiac or the heart. This is separate then from the motorcycle. I'm sorry, what's the Deb?
Yeah.
No, the other Deb. She can hear me.
Yep.
We can't hear her though.
Okay, Deb, call me right away on the cell. Or I'll call you. You listen to Chris.
You don't know by chance if there's a male connected to your side that passed from the cardiac heart-related issues, do you? That would be trying to come through? You can thumb up or thumb down. There's no William Bill connection. I keep hearing that, or
I have a William grandfather who died of a stroke. I don't know. I don't think it's heart.
no, I'm not sure then, because I feel like
Can I say something?
yeah.
The person that I'm hoping it is, can I tell you a little bit about it? Or
You
not?
probably shouldn't give too much information, but there's nothing I've said after that you can relate to, right?
The cardiac thing, absolutely.
To a male?
The Bill thing, no. There's no relation to Bill, but the cardiac issue, definitely.
To a male?
Yeah.
That would possibly be coming in around or for you?
Yep.
Huh. I don't know. It's just not grabbing me the way that I would like it to, but I'm sorry. I don't know if I can say more. I feel like I've had this male on the motorbike or dirt bike or whatever it is, and then I feel like I don't know if he's brought the male through with the cardiac, but I literally feel like two different people coming through different generations in that way. But I also had the older female that I was hearing the name Martha being referenced for. Who's? I know you know your life, Lori.
Yes.
But I'm hearing Billy again. They're saying Billy.
Billy.
Yeah. No, don't make it fit. It's okay, but somehow somebody keeps saying this, so I don't know why. If it's
My daughter's name is Lily. I don't know if that means anything.
I don't think so. I feel like I'm hearing Billy. I don't know. It's just crazy. And I want to know, you said off camera we didn't really meet or talk, but we did connect prior, like the group of us in some ways. But and you said you weren't at home right now, so I knew that. But
That's right.
is there some reason why I feel like picking up stuff around the house, or like kind of like a cleaning up process happening around you then? Like a frantic cleaning up, or
Like somebody would be doing that here, you mean?
I'm not sure. Yeah.
My mother-in-law is super tidy. I don't know if that has anything to
No,
do.
I don't think that's it. It's almost like I'm seeing stuff being picked up out of the hallway, or it was like having to get stuff picked up and moved for some reason. But they keep showing me like a hallway. I feel like I'm in the basement or downstairs for some reason. Sorry.
No need for apology.
What was the first name of the male that was on the bike?
Kevin.
Kevin?
Yeah.
You said he was in the best health of his life, but that's not what I'm going to say to you when I say this. Do you know if in some ways why he would indicate things were really opening up in a positive way for him in his life, like he was looking forward to, and things were straightening out or changing for him?
I could see that.
Aware of that in some way?
Yeah, I know he was going through a rough time for a while.
I'm sorry. In some way, something's opening up, and it's like I'm looking forward to something for the first time, and I feel like opportunities or options and stuff for him. And it's like I was in a good frame of mind. I was happy about what the future held, and then I feel like, and then this happens. He doesn't focus a whole lot on telling me he was in a bad way, but he makes me feel like it opened up and things were feeling more positive for him, and it's like I'm looking forward to the future, and then I feel like, and then it's over.
I could see that. I don't know if anything
stands out to you. No,
nothing that would have been positive. He was always very into mental health and his health in general.
Nothing job or career wise, hey?
I think it might have been.
Because I feel like that's where he's wanting me to go with this, or to indicate like I was looking forward to this. I'm feeling optimistic about this.
Right.
And then it's like it's gone. And are you presently aware of somebody that has his jacket still?
I'm not sure. I could look into that though.
Yeah, I wouldn't ask a lot of people, but I would just, for some reason, he's referencing like his jacket. It's not like a winter jacket. So I don't know if it's like a jean jacket or it's something that he wore a lot. But he's indicating that a female still has this.
Okay.
And one more thing. Anything register for you why August? Why he wants me to talk about August or?
August.
No?
Not that I'm aware of. Maybe it'll come to me later, but nothing is standing out.
Okay. Just know that I feel like I'm in the first week of August, so we'll be coming up to it in a couple of weeks, whatever this is, but I feel like there's something date-wise that seems significant or important in the way that he makes reference to this.
Okay.
And do you have like one little item still at your house on a shelf or something that would be of him or representative of him in some way? It's not an image. It's not his name.
I'm not sure. Okay. I'm going to have to definitely, when I go home now, I'm going to have to take a look around and try to absorb that.
It's going to be on a little shelf or a shelf, and it's going to have other items around it, but it makes me feel like there's something about him. You don't have like a card, hey, with his something written or a poem that's in reference to him or about him in some way?
I don't think so.
And this is weird. Is there any reason why he's laughing? You're married because you talked about being at your mother-in-law's?
Yep.
Is there any reason why your husband would be upset or why he would laugh about that in regards to him?
Well,
you don't have to go into detail because I don't know what that'll mean. But
I really don't mind. We used to go and see a certain musician together. And when this musician came into town, my partner, we're not legally husband and wife, but we're common law.
Sure.
He bought us tickets to go to the show for me and Kevin. Okay. He didn't come to the concert. Me and Kevin always went because Kevin was like my best friend, right?
Sure. Well, that seems like a nice thing. He's laughing about your husband in some way or a significant other.
Yep.
And I'm like, would he be upset by something or would something bother him about Kevin? I don't know, but he seems to laugh about this.
I could see him thinking it's funny.
In regards to your spouse or your partner.
Interesting.
And one more thing. Do you know if he was cremated?
He was.
Do you know if there was, I don't want to call it a ceremony. Do you know if somebody did something in the water or by the water for him?
I don't know that they've done anything yet because of COVID.
Okay. He brings this up. I'm not saying they're going to. He makes me feel like he's happy about this.
Okay.
So I'm assuming time frame it's taken place, but he's showing me like, I don't know if it's a bay of water or a big body of water, but I don't feel like they're out on the water. I feel like I'm on the shore, whatever this is. And I feel like there would be a sprinkling or an adding of his ashes to this in some way that he's bringing up.
I'm going to find out about that. I'll speak to his mom.
Okay. Yeah, just see if they've done it, or see if she knows if there's plans to do it. But he seems happy about this nonetheless.
Okay.
In regards to doing it, and also ask what female has his jacket, because he keeps making reference to that.
I wonder if it's his daughter.
I don't know, but and he's up on the tattoos, he says, and he laughs.
Yeah. Yeah. That's my boy.
Okay, well, I don't know how much there is to go on with that, but that's how I feel like I'm hearing him anyways. What's the connection of the cardiac, like this male? Is this like a father figure, older male?
This person that I'm thinking you're contacting?
Not the motorcycle.
The cardiac is actually Kevin, and it wasn't a motorcycle, it was a bicycle.
So it was a bicycle, and it was a heart attack?
Yep.
Well, then I am screwing something up here, or I'm merging two different thoughts. Because there was definitely a bike reference, but then I felt like there was another male talking cardiac or heart.
Well, Kevin was an avid bike rider. And he suffered cardiac arrest when he was on his bike.
Isn't that ironic? Somebody that is so into their health.
Yeah, he didn't drink. He didn't do drugs. He was eating right. He was in the best shape you could imagine. And it was a sudden heart attack.
Okay. I thought I had two different males coming through with those two different pieces of information.
I'm thinking of him. I wanted him to be here, and I when I got up today, I tried to sort of be open to him coming. I talk to him sometimes in my mind, because
Sure.
I'm grieving him, and it's hard to get over that because of how it happened and the fact that we didn't have a service because of COVID. So
okay.
I feel like I've tried to make him come today. I was hoping he did.
I wish he'd been stronger if I did get him, but that's what I can tell you at this point in time.
It's enough. It's enough for me.
And honestly, there's nothing about. I hadn't said this before. I'm hearing it, but April 3rd or April, I've got like a 3 or something that's being stated.
April 3rd. His birthday's in April.
I just know he's taking me to April, but I've got like a 3 connection that's coming up with this, so not sure why. But I do.
April 3rd is my partner's birthday. So that's kind of weird.
April 3rd is what?
April 2nd. I'm sorry, I'm wrong.
April 2nd. You're wrong. That's funny. I don't know. I feel like he's pulling me to April, and it's supposed to be significant, and I think there's a 3 in it or something about the 3rd. So I don't know what to tell you. I want to tell you that I would encourage you to make your own connections with Kevin. I'd encourage you to make all your connections with people that have passed, but it's not so much what you have to do. Just be open. Just sit quiet. Make room for them to so you're at home in your heart and your head, so that when they come to you or when they impress on you, you're able to receive it.
I hope he does that. I've been waiting for a dream.
Yeah.
Because I've had ones that have passed visit me in my dreams, but he's not done it yet. So I'm waiting for that.
When it happens, it'll happen, but we can't make it happen. That's the key.
I think I just need the connection to him because of the way he passed, and the way it was very sudden and unexpected. So.
And he was on his bike when this happened?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was in his living room on an exercise bike.
Really?
Yeah, and he had some heart issues, and they found him in his bathroom on the floor. I guess because he got off of his bike, and then that was it.
Okay. The only other thing I'm going to say, and this just sounds crazy, but let Deb know when, and I don't want to predict like it's going to happen. If that like old bag of marijuana thing comes up, and you
I will.
Let her know, because they're still like joking about this or laughter.
I will let her know. I'm wondering if maybe his mom found something. They had to clean his place out, right? So I don't know if maybe there's something there.
You can let Deb know. I don't know, but for some reason, I don't know if that's the hall cleanup or having to clean up something fast that would be tied to his. I don't know that, but he was bringing it up around you in some ways. So
right, and we can all go check on Martha's That was the only other reference, I guess, that wasn't sort of selected by anybody. Like I said, I have a grandmother, Martha, but it's interesting, Chris, because when I had my session with you, there were 5 different messages coming through. And if you add in the first thing you said to me about, when you sort of looked at my name that day, that would be 6 coming through. Do you find sometimes that you get, one isolated, or do you get a variety? Like, for example, if Deb or Dave then said, a name of somebody, would something come through in those situations?
Quite often, but I couldn't guarantee it. It all depends. I had a client this week that gave the name of a family member or a friend or whoever it was that they wanted to hear from, but I still couldn't get them. So it does happen where quite often in the readings, I give clients the opportunity to say it once, a name, and they often will lock in and connect. But it's not a guarantee. So when you said I had 5 messages or 6 when I looked at your name or something, you mean like 5 different people?
Yeah, there was a message originally. I mean,
so quite often for me, it'll happen when I'm in the shower in the mornings. Like, how weird is that? Did I tell you that?
You said that when you looked at my name that morning, that you got it was just whatever one message, and it was like that you weren't disappointed that came through in the session. But we didn't identify who that was. That could have been a number of people. But then there were like 5 other spirits that came through, all clearly identified, right down to, Deb and I worked together for years, and there was an employee of ours that made reference to enjoying the popsicles. And you picked out his name. His name was Rick, and you picked that out of the air, like so accurate.
Thanks. It would have been given to me, and I probably heard it correctly, but I don't always. But that's a lot of people in a reading. That's not typical, not in mine. You might get 1 or 2.
Well, it's interesting because they were all lining up to talk. I had opened it up the night before and then that morning to anybody who wanted to come and share a message. And actually, there was another one because there was 6 because we didn't know who the one was. It was a reference for a little girl. I didn't know. I never knew who that one was.
Did I seem very confused with you? Did I use the
confused? No, you were amazing, spot on. There was only one situation when you got a message and you said, I don't get messages like this. But you said, I'm just going to share it.
So with that many people, usually I'll use the reference, this is a shit show, because I can't always guarantee, or I cannot always separate who's saying what. Was I a little overwhelmed or flustered that day with that many people?
No, you were it was so clear. It was okay. This person is saying that. This person is saying that. This person is saying that. But you did make reference to, this is a busy room.
Okay.
There seemed to be a lineup, but they were really accurate.
I would say that would not be the norm in a standard reading for me. Having many people coming through.
Well, Deb invited all of the ancestors to come in. She says, let's have a party. We're going to see Chris.
I even opened it up to because I've had messages, different types of messages in my life. So I opened it up, even if there was a message, a significant message from somebody in the periphery who wanted to deliver a message to somebody. I just opened it up to anybody who needed to speak. Nice. And there was a lineup. I did identify George, who I didn't say who it was, but that was my father. And you picked that out, that pretty much he was a father figure. And he said very little.
So I'm curious when you say that, because often I'll tell people personality carry over, and some people can be very dominant personality, yes. Some people can be very reserved. Was your dad did he tend to be more quiet or reserved in life?
No. Look at Deb. Deb knows who he wasn't.
But
he didn't say a lot of words. He was loud, but he didn't say a lot to me. He was what he said, and it was clear. He would go on rants sometimes, but it was the first thing you said is with the message with my father was he's surprised that you asked for him. Mm. So he was there, but then it was like he pulled back, and then other people were filing in. But he had one, which is typical of Dad too. He had one of the last words. With a final kind of comment in there. But there was a very strong personality that came through and sort of knocked everybody out for a while, and then some other people came through. But anyway, we're running near the end of the hour. I mean, it goes by so fast. We probably should have done a 2-hour session tonight. I feel like Deb, you never know when you show up. And Dave, we all want to hear from our loved ones, and there's always that hope. But you come in and don't have a lot of expectations, and sometimes, like Lori, we connect. And I hope, Lori, that when you go back, there was a lot of I'm kind of not sure. I hope maybe you can make some of those links with some other people.
Totally to that. Yeah, I'm gonna investigate.
Yeah, and Deb, you can if you want to connect with Chris in person. Anybody else who's watching, let me just run that across where you can connect with Chris. That is his website. And I'm going to say thank you to Lori and Deb, and I'm going to put the three of us just for the last little bit. Thank you guys so much. I'll put you behind the scenes. If you want to stick around and talk afterwards, you're welcome to, but I'll put you behind the scenes.
Thank you so much.
Thanks again. And Chris, so we're really literally at the last 4 minutes or so. Did you have anything that you wanted to share that you hadn't said tonight? Anything you want to express? Or Dave, you've been quiet too?
I don't have anything. I just want to be kind of an open book and as honest as I can be, and hopefully present myself in a way that people can resonate with. Not everybody might like it, but that's okay.
You've brought a genuineness and an authenticity tonight, Chris, that I really appreciate, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
And the other word that you've actually demonstrated from my reading is a sense of detachment. So that's what I'm really encouraging people. I hope they see it too. Is that you've mentioned it a few times. If they don't like you, you let it go. And that's such a beautiful quality that I have a feeling that some of the people in the audience could perhaps infuse into their life too, and just let go of what other people think about you. And so you demonstrated it so beautifully tonight, and I really appreciate it. It's been a wonderful evening, and your insights and your demeanor is wonderful. So thank you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we had talked. It's got to be a year and a half ago. I think I had you on the audio with the podcast, and the one thing that I want to share is for anybody, and this goes in a lot of areas of life, is that some people could be reserved and be afraid to ask somebody like you to come on the show. And what I can say is that Chris is so open and so receptive to coming onto the show again. And, we appreciate that so much. And to open up and to have a couple volunteers again, that's a beautiful gift that you give. And anybody who's interested in seeing a medium, I wholeheartedly would recommend Chris. We never know who's going to show up, but like I said, I had 5, 6, and I still think the Martha reference might be mine. And who knows, maybe somebody will come up with a Martha.
Well, do you have family that you can check with, or nobody that could validate any of those things? Nobody
is alive anymore that could validate what went on at that funeral. Okay. Even my parents' generation has passed at this time, and that's my grandmother, but her name was definitely Martha. And I don't remember anything having to do with I wasn't even at the funeral actually, so I wouldn't know that, but I will, I'll put it out there as I sleep tonight and see what shows up. But
for sure.
Yeah. So thank you so much again, Dave. Thank you to everybody who has been watching Pray Love tonight. Please leave any final comments there. If anybody has a Martha with with the earrings.
You don't have to search for it. You know how many people have Marthas?
Yeah, exactly. Well, then thank you, for being playful too, because I'm sure that there are references that come up that either people can't remember or they can't connect. It doesn't all have to mean something, but I guess maybe if we knew as much as Spirit knew, then we would know.
Well, maybe as long as I'm hearing and feeling correctly. So,
right.
When you're a filter at best. You try to be unclogged, but you just never know.
Okay, thank you so much. Good night, everybody. I'm going to put us behind and we will go out with our song with Rosemary Phelan, Pray Love. Good night, everybody. Thank you so much.
Good night. Thanks so much.
Love is all is love is all love is all